Hi everybody, thank you very much. So I am Christophe Ozcan. So we have a new technical panel today between the lunch and we are starting again. So this topic is very important, in terms of technological side, because as you see, there is a lot of new blockchain protocol infrastructure like Solana, like Luna, and many others that are doing some improvement to try to reach, I will say, the mainstream companies to adopt. But there is a fact that all the industries are waiting a scalable protocol, a privacy one, and a secure one, a distributed or decentralized one. So I think that all of these terms should be also discussed, because it's not because you have an industry, a specific industry, that you cannot trust on a specific infrastructure. So thank you very much. So I'm glad to welcome David Schmitz, who is one of the Polkadot ambassador, and Vijay Krishnan, who is a Consensys technical director. So thank you guys for being with me to discuss about this topic. And I will let you a few minutes to introduce yourself and your experience as well.
Okay, first, thank you for the invitation. Seats are really comfortable.
No problem.
We are really happy to be here among you. So my name is David. I'm the head ambassador of the Polkadot community for the Francophonie. You know what it means, I think, here in France, all the French speaker community. I'm also entrepreneur in the blockchain area for more than 5 years now, and the founder of a project that will be onboarded by the Polkadot ecosystem before the end of this year. The project is named Polygon, but it's not the topic. But yes, definitely I'm really and deeply involved, I would say, in the Polkadot ecosystem, technically, and also to the community, some community engagement.
Okay, thank you very much for this quick introduction. Vijay?
Again, thanks for having me here. My name is Vijay. You can call me VK in short. So for me, the story that I came into blockchain was very accidental. So I was working in Wall Street for 20 years. So one of the innovation group asked me from a bank to research about blockchain one fine day. So the first week I was reading about Bitcoin. The second week I was reading about Ethereum. But the third week I was actually mining Ethereum. So that is how I actually came into blockchain. And when I was mining Ethereum, I thought there is much more towards the technology than mining. So in 2015, I started my shift from mining cryptos into actually learning about blockchain. So after that, I joined IBM North America, so where I was leading the North America blockchain practice. Actually, I set up the practice for architecture, did around 50 implementations in blockchain, various projects, and almost like dealt with 150 use cases. Then joined AWS during pandemic, set up their global partnerships for blockchain, onboarded almost like 20 different partners into the AWS ecosystem for Amazon. Chainlink, chain analysis, Consensys, Kaleido, R3. So various partners were into the ecosystem. Launched few products for Chainlink and chain analysis during that tenure. Then at the time, I always want to work closer to the core blockchain protocols. So Consensys was a natural choice. Yeah. And it's a back to mothership kind of feeling when I joined Consensys. So with Consensys, I'm leading the global pre-sales architecture and leader. More to do with facing customers, explaining customers the products and the technology the way they can understand. That's my job.
Okay, so I think that you have a great experience, for this topic. So thank you for joining us as well. So I think that you have seen, I think that 1 year ago that the transaction fees in Ethereum exploded. So we took for example, $1, you know, as an average of transaction fees to 100 and more. We have seen, you know, a deep also inclusion with NFTs market. So probably this, I will say, new market has caused some congestion of the network. Like Bitcoin, you know, a few years ago, we have seen the same issue of, you know, the cost of one transactions in Ethereum, and probably we hope that in new blockchain, you know, mechanism or protocol, that such problem could be solved. And in Ethereum, we have seen some improvement about that. What is your thoughts, Vijay, about the future of Ethereum regarding, you know, yes, this issue with transaction fees, but as well, you know, at the meantime, with the migration of to proof of work to proof of stake, probably to help users, yes, to pay lesser fees, but to stay secure as well.
Okay, I think this is a common question now because the Ethereum merge is happening. So let's closely watch on what actually the merge does to the ecosystem. So the merge does only moving from a newer protocol, older protocol to the newer protocol, right? Changing the consensus mechanism. Basically moving from proof of work to proof of stake. So it is actually going to give only an 8% increase in the transaction capacity. So what does that mean is, how does it going to impact the gas fee is going to be negligible. So you won't see a significant improvement in the gas fee structure that we are currently paying for Ethereum on the ETH1 layer. And this is because, you know, it's only a consensus migration framework that is going on, and the testing is going on. All the tests that is going on as we speak with the shadow fork that happened 3 days back, shadow fork 8, it is consistently proving that it's going to have a better ecosystem, but there won't be a significant improvement in the transaction speed or the gas cost, because it's just purely a migration from one consensus layer to another consensus layer. So when we elaborate on this, when we will see the actual benefit of, you know, faster transactions and better optimization and lesser gas fee is going further, right? So when we talk about the merge, post-merge, there's going to be some work that is going to carried out step by step. The first is making the data layer available locally for some nodes. So when the state data is available locally with some of the nodes using partitions, so they're using a specific term for that partitions, so then the nodes will be able to process the state data faster. Okay. So when that data processing happens faster, then the transaction rate will be higher, and that's when you can see the gas price going down. But that may happen end of the year, maybe beginning of the year, maybe mid of next year, we don't know. But this is the future that we are seeing in. But from an NFT side of things, I think there are some specific ERC specifications that is coming up, where, you know, you won't pay the gas fees for launching an NFT or minting an NFT. So you'll pay the gas fee only when you are transferring the NFT from one account to another account. I think this is what is happening behind the merge.
Okay. So what is your thoughts, David, about, you know, my questions about, you know, how to improve it?
These questions, to be honest, is a nonsense in the Polkadot environment, because we don't face to a problem regarding fees, because Polkadot is organized differently. I don't know if anyone knows a little bit about Polkadot architecture, but Polkadot was built around the relay chain. It's the first step, and the relay chain is in our environment layer 0. It's really important because this relay chain focus only on 2 or 3 action, I would say. The first one is to secure all the network. The second one is to give the possibility to the different chain connected to the relay chain to pass some information between each other. And the third one is around organizing the governance for the whole ecosystem, once again. So when you want to develop a project in the Polkadot ecosystem, you can use the technology available and provided also by the community named Substrat to develop your own chain. Okay. You have the complete control of this chain, and you don't need to have validator miner, if you prefer, because we talked just earlier about the security in Ethereum and Bitcoin, you know. It relies on miner. It's different in Polkadot. You just need some node, I would say, and the security will be taken in charge by the relay chain. That's why in each parachain, the fees to use the services developed by this parachain are very, very low. We don't need to charge user. It's not the mindset, and it's not necessary in the Polkadot ecosystem and architecture. And about the relay chain will realize the security for all the independent chain connected to the relay chain through a common process. And this relay chain is organized around a nominated proof of stake consensus. That means it's like proof of stake, but the staker are dot holders, so all the holders of dot within the community that put their token at stake to take part to the securization of the relay chain and through the relay chain of the whole ecosystem.
Yeah, I think that Ethereum is doing the same with the migration. They are moving to proof of stake. They are also, you have for having a node to host 32 Ethereum to be I will say validator owner nodes. But what we have seen also, it's project, because we have discussed now. You take the example of relay chain and different layers that are playing to secure, but also to bring more, I will say, lesser transaction fees, but more privacy as well. However, there is, for, I will say, tech guys or companies that want to integrate blockchain infrastructure, the necessity to be sure that if I'm going to Ethereum, it's because I am willing to pay the decentralization and the securization, of all datas executed on Ethereum, layer 1. Otherwise, I can, for example, use a layer 2 like sidechain. So this is another technical terms, but like Polygon. Fortunately, we don't have Matthieu Saubin with us today. But there is different kind of layer solutions, and what we are seeing is that the layer 1, it's now becoming for the major actors. They accept that security have a cost, in terms of transaction fees, in terms of decentralization as well, and they are okay, to pay this cost by proposing a layer 2 solution for use cases. So what we are seeing, it's like on the OZ model, different layers that are coming. To try to facilitate to develop a project or an application, let's say a Web3 application on such protocols. And this is currently the direction that the blockchain tech it's going on. What is your vision, about these different kind of layers? Do you think that we will probably in few years have a layer 3? I don't know, an application layers or wallet layers? I don't know. Or do you think that we still need to be focused on one layer solution to provide the security to the users first? Vijay, for example.
Yeah, I think there is no straightforward answer to this question, but I'll share my thoughts. There is a reason why L2 networks came into picture on the first place. So first is transaction processing. The second was gas fees. I think this model has actually proved something else as well. the L2 layers came in and then gave a better privacy and better control of data that you want to expose in a secured way. I think this is the model that is going to stay for some time unless there is going to be a new model which is going to prove better than L2s. Right, I saw on a LinkedIn post that somebody is talking about L5. So I don't even have an idea about what is L5, right? So it's just like evolving. So let's step back and then talk about something we all know, right? Let's take databases, any databases, DB2, Oracle, Postgres, MySQL, whatever it is. It's just taken us like 30 years to actually scale from where we were to where we are today. And it will take good amount of time for the L1, L2 networks to get to a maturity state where we want to do everything in milliseconds, million transactions per second, or less gas cost, or lightning speed, or running private and public blockchains together in a hybrid mode. It'll all take time. What I've seen from 2015 to now is there was no L2s when we talk about blockchains in 2015, 2016. So L2s came in. So probably another 3 to 4 years, there's going to be much more better than L2 is going to come up. You have to wait and watch. But the innovation is happening. So there are like more and people putting investment and time and research into this area. And I'm sure, if some of the blockchains or some of the protocols start working together, we may not need different layers, right? The interoperability challenge that we all have, if it is solved, then that could prove a lot of things than innovating new layers again and again.
I'm pretty okay with this slide too, but once again in Polkadot it's different because the architecture, I would say, we don't need to make an addition of layer. And to be honest, I'm not very comfortable with this kind of model. Why? Because each layer will rely on the layer just below. Yeah. And yeah, for me, that means finally you will rely on the first layer, so the basic layer, I would say. And that's why with Polkadot, the community decided to build the architecture with independent blockchain and parachain. You could consider the different parachain as layer, yeah, but they are independent from each other, and it's really important. But very important also because it wouldn't make sense to have some parachain like a lone island. Yeah. It's important to connect them together and to develop also a technical framework to give the possibility to pass some message and organize services in common between the different parachains. So we do that. We organize a common security, and we also organize a protocol to build this possibility to pass information and also transaction between the different independent parachains.
Yeah, so you see, for people that are not technical on the audience, we have different terms. We have parachains, we have sidechains. We have, I will say a lot of terminology that it's very difficult for for people that are trying to innovate on this ecosystem to understand what the difference is between all of these, solutions. In fact, if we took, for example, the NFT market just few months ago, when you are talking about with an artist, with a big company that want to create an NFT, they want to select as well the good infrastructure because they don't have a mind of the technological stack that they should use. So what is your approach on a use case, for example, to advise one project? I know that Vijay, you are making such consulting services as well in Consensys, that to help them to select good and the expected, I will say, blockchain infrastructure for their own use cases. Because if I come to you with a way to tokenize, I will say the ownership of my content, let's say that, through an NFT. Is it better for me to go directly to a sidechain because in transaction fees it's lower? However, the security is not very good, or is better to pay the fact to be secure and launch on Ethereum layer 1?
Okay, again, so this is a question that has been repeatedly asked by a lot of CXOs in the last 5-6 years. So how do you choose a network? Or how do you choose a blockchain based on different factors? So I think even though there are like thumb rules to follow, but my answer to this problem is, what is the business problem that your application is trying to solve? Right? Your NFT launch, for example, what is the business case that is trying to solve? Is it uncollectible? It is not uncollectible. It is fundraising NFT, or it's a social cause NFT. So what is that is the basic underlying factor that we need to understand. So once you understand why you're doing that business, I think the network selection becomes very easy. For example, if you talk about a financial NFT, FNFTs, these days, this term is picking up a lot, which is nothing but NFTs in the DeFi world. So the exposure and risk is definitely higher when compared to financial NFTs and the regular NFTs that we have in a collectible format. I'm not saying, there's no risk in the collectible NFTs. But I think what is that you want to invest from a security perspective, from an infrastructure perspective, and scalability perspective. So security, infrastructure, scalability doesn't come cheap. Right? It doesn't matter whether we are doing blockchain projects or non-blockchain projects. So it is expensive and it's exponential. And if you don't have the capacity to invest and build and maintain, so you outsource. Right? That's an advice I've been always telling to people that, if you don't have the capacity, always outsource, and somebody who knows how to do it will take care of it. But again, that comes with a cost. So if you talk about how to choose networks, so again, I would say start something simple. Always have a roadmap. If you ask any of the short-lived NFT projects or short-lived networks, what is the reason for failure? They don't have a roadmap. The first thing I ask a CTO or CXO when they talk to me is, do you have an 18-month roadmap? Why I insist on 18 months is because have you really put in the thought, doing some homework, to really have some idea about what you want to do after launch? So that is my basic advice to the CTOs and CXOs, rather than advising them what is the framework that need to use to choose a network. That falls right into the selection process once they know what they want to do. So most of the problems that we see in this current world are they do not know what to do after they launch. They just want to launch, that's it. So it becomes very essential for project owners and sponsors and investors to actually understand what is the purpose of the project, what is the business problem that they're trying to solve. Once we figure out that, I think the technology part, we can always find workarounds, shortcuts, tentative solutions with strategic approach. All that can be done. That's my long answer.
It makes sense. To be sure that I have come really well understood, when you mentioned cost, you talk about cost to develop the project, I suppose, not about fees. Because, in my opinion, the security is not a question of fees. You could have lower fees and a good security within a blockchain ecosystem. That's not the question. Because, to give you another example, in the Polkadot ecosystem, you will find some specific parachain organized to onboard a project coming from Ethereum, so developed around Solidity. Program Solidity code, and they provide complete infrastructure functioning as Ethereum, I would say, with lower fees, and the security is the same. But something important, the problem today, because we also meet a lot of entrepreneurs and project builder in the around blockchain generally ecosystem, and everybody on the market know that the value and is on Ethereum at the moment. They have a lot of users, they catch a lot of value, and a lot of developer, a lot of projects. That's probably the main problem we have to face with an ecosystem as Polkadot, with other also as Tezos here in France. But yeah, the security is definitely not a question of how much fees you will pay to develop and to deploy your contract or your project on a blockchain ecosystem.
Agreed, but at the moment it's one of the main topics, because if you are seeing all the traction between proof of work to proof of stake, about energy, if the energy it's an asset that protect and secure the network, some people you will say that proof of work is more secure than proof of stake, and other you will say that I have another kind of consensus mechanism that it's more centralized. If you took, for example, Ripple, they are making more centralized, or EOS ecosystem, more centralized, I will say, infrastructure. They provide cheaper fees. However, the distribution of the security is not the same. So I think that this is one of the main challenge of this technology for the maturity. It's to allow, internet, web, to allow, any project to be launched for pennies and to be run for pennies. However, I think that the challenges that we have in this ecosystem as a solution providers, for example, Consensys, and also I will say Ethereum community and Polkadot and Polygon and Algorand, Tezos, all of this infrastructure. It's to provide I will say a cheaper and secure blockchain infrastructure, because users will adopt it, even if at the moment all the standards are pushed by Ethereum. Most of them are, using as it is in other, chains. So I think that we have always, one protocol that are behind one other, but in the long-term perspective, we know that technology is also maturing. So thank you very much for, for all your thoughts. Yes, if you have one, we have to.
Keep in mind that you told a little bit about mass adoption, but I think for the future, and I hope a near future, to be honest, we definitely stop to talk about blockchain, because people coming outside of this world, I would say this ecosystem, doesn't matter, are not interested in blockchain. They doesn't understand. It's too much complicated.
Yes,
if you want to have mass adoption, you have to build pragmatic, concrete project based on blockchain technology, because it's sure convinced by the potential of this technology to organize differently some value chain, some processes in a new web, for example, but the blockchain will be as a protocol, I would say, like TCP/IP is for the web, to organize this new value chain organization behind the web. It won't be a question of, is it supported by Tezos, Ethereum, Polkadot? People, doesn't matter about that. They are not interested.
But at the moment,
we have to think about it.
There is a competition of.
I'm not sure. I think the best way to develop and to reach mass adoption would be to build and to work together.
A cross-chain probably vision.
Definitely a big foundation around blockchain.
Yeah, I think on my closing note, I think in 5 to 10 years, nobody will talk about blockchain. It'll become like Windows operating system. Right, it'll be there everywhere, and nobody even knows it exists, and we'll be just like building applications on the top.
So thank you very much for your time and your vision and your thoughts, Vijay and David, and And thank you also to audience for to heard you about your thoughts and the technical vision that you have. And have a good day. Thank you very much.
Thank you for the invitation and good success for the rest of the day.
Thank you.